So it has been about 2face this last 2 months. His concerts, then now the book. I kind of feel that the industry is trying to rush 2face into retirement. You know, with the collector albums again that came out a few months ago, it feels everybody wants 2face to go into that legendary veteran status and just call it a day. What do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, without a doubt, 2face is a legend. You know, nobody can argue that. Not one person who understands Nigerian music or who's even looking at Nigerian music from afar can argue that 2face isn't, you know, a legend. 2face is at a point where, you know, everybody is happy and satisfied with what he has done with his career. And if he says, you know, he's resting the mic for a bit, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Okay, how about his label, Hypertech? Now, he has some artists on Hypertech, but I don't feel that these artists are exactly popping. Does it mean that 2face doesn't have what it takes to transfer talents to the next generation?
I mean, look at it. How many people has 2face signed in his career since success came knocking on his door? That was around 2005, right? Right after his first solo album, Face to Face.
Yeah.
2face has always been successful, but literally, who has 2face signed and made successful? Nobody.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things you should look at. You know, under his label right now, he has Rocksteady. Rocksteady used to be in the Tribunals, who used to roll with Blackface. Rocksteady is nowhere. I mean, he's dropped albums, but how has 2face, you know, invested in him? Dammy Crane, is he really
He's here or there.
He's here or there. Is it really 2face's project or a Spinlet project? To me, I think, you know, he's a Spinlet project, and Spinlet hasn't done bad with him. But who else has 2face signed and, you know, groomed to succeed him? You know, like the Banky W's have done, like even back then the LDs have done, or even the Mavins, you know, and the band signing one, they call all that. You know, it's a very important question to ask. Who has 2face signed, groomed, and, you know, pushed to a level where he can even surpass, the artist can surpass him? Nobody.
Right. Okay, fair enough. I was speaking to a lot of young kids, and they say, hey, you know 2face is a legend, but his 2 last albums didn't do it for them. Do you think this 2face has reached a point where he has to reset his career, possibly go back to Plantation Boys, start all over again? Because it's a different market now. This is not 2004. 2004 was a different industry entirely. So do you think he needs to go back to the drawing board or continue with the same formula?
So music-wise, let's break down 2face's solo album careers. Yeah. First solo album was in 2004, Face to Face. It's a classic album, you know, it's classic beyond comprehension. It's just classic. The follow-up album, Grass to Grace, was another brilliant piece. In fact, people even prefer it to Face because it was even way mature than what Face to Face was. The follow-up to that was The Unstoppable, which was the flop, right? Had about 20-something, you know, tracks. People call it a flop. People said the tracks were too many. There was a lot of controversy surrounding him.
Was it really a flop, or look at the controversy around him?
It was musically, the album didn't have a direction. So he was trying to do some pop songs. He was trying to take it ghetto, then reggae. Then he had the old controversy with Como, with one song where, you know,
Jungle Don't Mature.
So the album was kind of considered a flop. People didn't like it, and, you know, 2face's career started declining at that time. And, you know, he hooked up with Efemoregbe. They went back to the studio. They, you know, they refabricated the album and they made it the international edition. And it was a brilliant masterpiece, you know.
Most of the songs from the last album on that project.
You get most of the songs from the last album on that project, including songs like Only Me.
Yeah.
And, you know, the people call it a classic also. So from there, 2face was in a brilliant position. I think at this time, you know, maybe if he had signed 1 or 2 artists, he had pushed them in the forefront, he could have stayed at the back to push up. But the follow-up album to that was Away and Beyond, which was another, you know, very good album. I scored it like a 3.5/5. You know, it was a good album, had lovely singles. Maybe could have shot more videos. Then The Ascension. Now, The Ascension is a very tricky album. Just one huge single with Bridget Kelly, and after that, we didn't get the impact. So musically, people were wondering what kind of lyrics, you know, the style of the music and all that, was it outdated? Or at the point, maybe Nigerians weren't just feeling that kind of music. When you had the likes of Wizkid, Davido, you know, churning out Sean Sizzle at that moment, all these guys were churning out back-to-back hits. Maybe people weren't just feeling 2face's music at the time. So these were already. I mean, that album was a sign for 2face and his, the management to understand that things, maybe the sound was changing, and maybe he would have changed the style of music, maybe worked with other producers or worked with younger artists, or I don't know, get writers or something. Then 2 other albums were released after then. The Face to Face 10-year anniversary album, which also wasn't a very,
well coordinated.
It wasn't well coordinated and well put together. Then he also had the Replay, Select and Update album, which was a compilation of his previous works, which also wasn't, a big deal. So you have 2face in that position where he's already in icon god status in the Nigerian music industry. Celebrated, everything, facts only. But musically, he's not at his best right now.
So what's next for him right now?
2face, 2 things. 2face, and they're very important. 2face needs to invest in the youth. 2face needs to sign people. I was talking to a young artist and about 2face, and he was like, "Who ain't help?" And I had to think about it. You need to invest in young talent. There are a lot of young talents out there. Peter Okoye has this Dance with Peter going on.
Yeah.
I heard Paul Okoye is going to come out with sing with Paul. 2face isn't too small to have his own reality show where he actually looks for maybe 4 to 5 talents and signs these people and invest in them. And that's the only way you can grow. People signed him to a label, invested in him, and he blew up. And he had his own label, Hypertech Digital. But going ahead to sign Rocksteady, who's a washed up singer from the 2000s,
he never got his
career rolling, to a Dami Crane who's a tech company's project, to a Victor Wyfo who's probably in his late 70s.
I never got that movie.
So signing Victor Wyfo is not a bad idea. It's good. You want people to relieve his kind of music, right? But you need young people to to push and to as a vehicle to move your record label, not a 70-year-old singer. No diss to Victor Wyfo. He's another legend. He's a good signing, but you need to concentrate more of your efforts into the youth.
Until now, what's going on?
What's happening? What's going on? And there are a lot of young people out there that are talented, and we've seen. Maybe if a 2face had signed Patoranking 2-3 years ago, he could have accelerated his career. Patoranking is probably signing 2 other people now. And that's the only way the music industry can grow. When people help other people who help other people. And that's how you break artists, okay? So Birdman breaks Lil Wayne, Lil Wayne breaks Drake. And hopefully Drake has his own clique and he's going to break other people. Same way with L.A. Reid and Jay-Z signing Rick Ross. Rick Ross signs, Wale, Meek Mill. Hopefully they break other artists too. And the chain just keeps going and going on like that. But we have that problem in the music industry where, the top guys don't want to invest in younger people because, I don't know, are they going to take their shine?
Or they sign you and they just freeze you for a couple of years.
So 2face needs to invest in young people. He's a legend. We tick all the boxes when it comes to his music and everything. But he needs to invest in younger people.
Legacy. So 2face has a book. I don't know how to call it a biography or not. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it actually portrays 2face as a music legend, or is just a side project?
So, I mean, the book, I'm talking about biography here, and I'm talking about all these things we've discussed just now. That's not a book. That's like, a presentation with a bunch of articles just plugged in together. We need 2face to talk about his story, not, somebody pack a bunch of articles published on a website and throw it in a book and call it a biography. 2face has an amazing story, a big, amazing, inspiring story.
A movie-like story.
A movie-like story. So if he's not even doing a movie, 2face needs to tell a story in a book.
Yeah, true that.
So, how did he have it going? Signing up with Plantation Boys. How did he meet Blackface and Face?
The Kenny's Music Years.
How did he meet Kenny Ogumbe and D1? Why did he leave? He had a series of managers. What was the music industry like?
The baby mamas.
You understand? His relationship with 3 women and having those kids. How did it affect his music? How did he feel in 2009 when his career almost shut down and he was on the brink of extinction? And how did he make the comeback? What was the feeling like? How did he work with Mary J. Blige? Why didn't they release the song? Him winning his first MTV award, being the first African to have his song played on MTV Days, African Queen. We've always heard about him and Blackface writing African Queen. You understand? Who has credits? Yeah. How was it like working with OJB? When people accused him of not supporting OJB, when OJB had the kidney issue, what really happened? Did he or did he not support OJB? These are the stories we want to know. These are the things we want to hear about. These are the things that will inspire young people to push on in music or maybe even quit.
Yeah.
You understand? You see, Joel Ortiz in 2003 or 4 attended a Jay-Z concert, and at that night he decided to start rapping. Joel Ortiz is one of the respected rappers in Brooklyn, New York right now. That is how much, you know, your story can inspire millions of people out there. Have you read Jimmy Jatt's book, Avant-Garde?
Yeah.
Now that's a story. It tells us how Jimmy Jatt started DJing, how there were no DJ equipment in the 80s, in the early 80s, or even in the late 70s, and how, you know, he grew up in Obalende, met Obi Asika, who used to stay in Ikoyi, and they started sharing music, and he grew from there. Now I enjoy that book, and I'm inspired, and it's added to my knowledge of the music industry.
Nigeria.
You know, I'm going to read that you know, the compilation, the article compilation, and I'm not going to be inspired by it because it's basic news that, you know, everybody
doesn't
has.
feel personal, doesn't feel intimate
at all. So we need someone to tell 2face's story. Facts on it.